Be good. Be very good.
I know. I'm never gonna get enough of that. I just be good, be very good. That was one of the things my mom said, and she's been gone almost 2 years now. But it's just every time I see it, it just makes me feel closer that she's still here with me today.
Oh,
I
good.
want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. I have a guest, and you can hear her in the background. Man, let me tell you something. She is a Sarasota girl. Went to high school in Sarasota. This is what you talking about. I live in Sarasota. This is wonderful. Pamela Benner is here. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Oh, the pleasure is mine. Man, I tell you what, I absolutely love interviewing people. I have this thing where I want to know what you're doing. Maybe that's being nosy in a really creative way. I don't know.
That's good, though. I like that.
But I want to thank you so much for joining us. You know, you wrote a book, and I want to go ahead and show people the book. So I'm going to go ahead and go to your website really quick and make sure that people can see it. It's called To Touch One Heart. I absolutely love that. Think that that is beautiful. And here is the book right here, and the theme of the book and everything. Tell me, as people that write books, and you write, I never thought I would be able to write a book. Did you ever want to write a book? Was that something you wanted, or did you find
Yeah,
yourself?
yeah, I would think at some point it was something that I desired to do.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't know when exactly I would start writing.
Mm,
But from the time I was a teenager, I liked to write poems and do creative things of that nature. So it wasn't until later on in life that I actually took my writing seriously.
what was your writing process like? I mean, because I know you don't live in Sarasota anymore, do you?
I live in Tarpon Springs, Florida.
Oh, that's not too far.
Yeah.
That's not too far.
I
Top is
actually went to school in Sarasota. I went to Ringling School of Art and Design for
nice.
about a year and a half.
Nice.
And
Oh, that
that's
is
when
wonderful.
I actually started to begin to write after I had left school.
Hmm. So, what is your writing process like? Because everybody has something different that they do.
Yeah, mine is kind of repetitious. I write just about anything that comes to mind. I don't have any kind of order to it. I don't have any rhyme or reason of what I'm actually writing.
Hmm.
It's just something that I think about at a moment, and I just sit down and begin to write, and then it kind of flows from there. Um, Once I get all the ideas down on paper, what I normally do is I read it and read it and read it and reorganize it. And, I do a lot of repetition on that,
Hmm.
um, because it's making me clarify the things that I want to write. It
Right.
doesn't all come at one shot. I don't just sit down and actually write a book. I
Hmm.
have to continually exercise it like a muscle. I have to continue to write down everything that comes to me at that moment. I have to, get up at night, any time of the day, be ready to actually write what needs to be written. And if I don't write it right then, sometimes it gets lost in
Yeah.
my thoughts. But at some time, it usually comes back to me while I'm doing other writing, and then I actually write it at that point.
Wow. Well, you've shared some really intimate and deep and personal things in this book.
Yes.
Triumph, trauma. What motivated you to do this?
Well, I began when I had left school in Sarasota. I wanted to go back. I was going through a big separation with my two daughters, and I wanted to go back to New Jersey, which is where I was from. And I wanted to actually be a part of their lives, but it didn't work out that way. I stayed there for about a month, and then I returned back to my parents' home. I had returned after 20 years, and they graciously allowed me to come back in. And from that point, I began to write. I
Mm,
was just writing any old thing. Actually, I was writing about Cinderella, which kind of sounds funny, but I didn't really know what I was going to be writing at the time. And
mm,
as I continued to write after a couple of years, I realized that I could write, and I decided to pursue that.
Mm. Yes, ma'am.
Actually, the first book that I actually took seriously was called Faith to Believe. And I wrote the manuscript, and I was working with a publisher at the time, and I was going through a lot of emotional things at that time. And I was on my way to a prayer meeting, and I had decided to take the manuscript, and I threw it over the bridge into the water
Oh, wow.
over in Tampa. And I said, I never want to, see this manuscript again. And I
Mm-mm.
don't really ever want to write. So I was kind of having an argument with myself about it. Went back to the prayer meeting. And then about a month later, I received an email from a stranger that said, I have your manuscript. My husband found it while he was fishing.
Oh, wow.
And would you like to meet up with me? She was about 25 minutes from my home. And so I agreed to do that. And the outstanding thing about that whole thing was when I actually received the manuscript back from her, there was no signs of water damage or anything to the manuscript or to the things that I had included in the envelope upon throwing it out into the rocky waters.
Oh,
So she
wow.
had said to me, I hope you don't mind, but I read your manuscript and I think you should get it published. It would help a lot of people.
Oh, my
So
gosh.
from then on, I decided I was going to, publish it and continue to move on at that point. So I did. I wrote for 12 years, and I wrote a series of 12 books.
Wow.
And I gave them out for 8 years.
Mm.
And it wasn't until my mom and dad's passing that I had given them all out. And I had decided at that point I was not going to write anymore. So it
Again.
took me a good
Wow.
3 years before I decided I was going to write my testimony, because I was bombarded with doing that for a lot of years while I was doing the series. And I just wasn't ready to put myself out there completely, because I do testify somewhat in the book series, but not quite as in depth as I do with this book.
Mm.
So it took me a while to decide to do it, probably around 10 years before I came to peace with it and said, okay, because I was given a promise if I was to write this book that God was going to heal my life. He wasn't just going to heal my wounds, because he had done that through the book series. He healed
Mhm.
me emotionally, spiritually, and physically while I wrote those books. So this other promise was that he was going to heal my life. And I really didn't know what that meant at the time, but now that I've written the book, I have a greater understanding of what that all means.
Yeah.
And I
Wow.
do believe it's going to help other people, and they're going to heal through reading the book as well.
So your spirituality is kind of like the main thing. I see that you were running from this a couple of times.
Yes,
You can't do that.
I was a runner. I know a runner when I see one now.
Uh-huh.
But I was definitely a runner, and I can tell you, I was running from writing this book as well. I didn't want to do it. I didn't even want to uh, be bothered with any of it, because I was so overdoing all that I had done. I had written every day, morning, noon, and night when I wrote the book series. So I didn't really want to be bothered doing it again, because I had done it 4 times. This was the 4th time that I was actually going to do the book series over, because I am doing the book series over
Mhm.
as I was doing this book. And I didn't want to do it over again, over and over, because I had different situations come about that it would start and stop, and, things in life would happen. And so it took me now to actually put these books on platforms and get them out to people.
Yeah, I hear you. But sometimes it takes that long. Sometimes, you know, the healing process and all that. You were talking
Yeah.
about that a minute ago. Your spirituality, your healing. In writing this book, did you find that your healing process came along with the book, or was it
Yes.
because of
Yeah.
the healing process that you wrote the book?
No, it was during the writing of the
Ah,
book series that actually I didn't even realize it at the time until after they were completed, that they actually healed me.
mm,
And then I was given the promise if I wrote my whole testimony that it would heal my life. So I
mm,
was willing to do that.
mm-hmm.
It
Wow.
was at that place where I was more willing to do it quicker than later.
Do you advise people who are going through
Yeah,
trauma to write a
I
book?
I tell people all the time because I run into people that say to me, "Well, I want to write a book. I'd like to do that too." And I usually have a conversation with people that are interested in writing a book of some sort, and I try to encourage them in every aspect of writing that it does you greater than what you would even imagine, because you just start out with nothing and you really gain something in the end. At
Yeah.
least I see it that way. It was a big gain for me personally in my growth and in just my life, for even for my children and for my grandchildren, because I wrote this book basically for my generational line, and that was for my grandsons.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Wow.
You know
Explain your book to someone in a paragraph.
what
Something that would explain to them not exactly what the book is about, but what the book can do for them and what it's done for you. What would you tell them? What would you say?
Well, I think for myself, the book begins from my birth to my parents' passing. And I've spoken to a couple of people already that have gotten my book, and they've identified with the pain in their life for what I have written in regards to certain things,
Mm,
that they had actually forgotten about it. They had actually remembered it the moment they began to write the book. And I think it's so important that this book will spark people's emotions, they'll spark people's minds, they'll spark them in a way that they will be able to remember those things, because a lot of people, they just bury themselves in all of their woundedness. And I did that. You know, I had to unbury myself in order to write this book.
wow.
So it's
That's
just a lot of things that were miraculously done in this book for me. And I don't want to take anything away from the reader right now, but God was very faithful even to the very end of my parents' life, and how He used that 20 years that I lived with them to bring healing to me as well as to them. That
mm,
was the biggest blessing.
yeah. Wow. You know, it's hard sometimes to put those things down on paper. When you started writing, what was the moment that really broke you down?
Um, I think it was just the fact that I was able to put it on paper, because throughout my life, I always recalled those memories, especially the traumatic memories.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very hard to actually want to, actually write about it and and actually, feel it in some respects.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't want to feel that pain again, and that's really what I had to do. I had to cry, I had to, you know, be angry and feel certain emotions again, which I would have rather not had done,
Yeah.
you know.
I do know.
And that is the hard part, because there is pain in healing. I don't care if it's spiritual healing, physical healing, mental healing, or even emotional healing. It all connects back to having to feel pain of some sort.
Yeah.
So I try to tell people it's well worth it, because with God anyway, he touches you in such a way that once you acknowledge the pain, it's gone in a heartbeat.
Hmm.
It doesn't linger. It doesn't stay with me.
Wow.
It's just healed, and it's done.
Hmm.
And that's what this book did for me, and I just have the faith to believe that it will do it for other people as well,
Yeah.
because we don't even realize sometimes how much pain we endure, even in, a normal situation. Sometimes, like, there's so many triggers,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I lived a life of triggers. That's how I lived my life for the last 40 years, were on triggers.
Mm.
And I didn't even know what a trigger was until I wrote my book.
Wow.
I had dealt with that for so long that it just became a part of my life.
Mm. 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 And it's fresh in my mind, my mom passing. So to write it down,
Yeah.
I'm probably not ready to do that yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I can see how it could be very much so healing for me and anyone actually who's lost a
Yes.
loved one or anyone close to them, to actually write that down, to tell that story. You know, it's such a blessing to have you here. And
Oh,
I'm
thank
just so
you.
thankful that you are here. What would you tell people if you had to tell them something like, hey, be encouraged to write, or what kind of advice would you give a person, or even inspiration?
Yeah. Well, like I said, I tell people all the time, the best healing is within. It's not running after something on the outside or thinking somebody else is going to do the healing for you. You need to look within yourself, because everything that we need as a person, especially those that are close to God's will and way, he will do the work within, because it's what's coming and happening within you that will manifest on the outside.
Yeah.
And that's true, no matter whether it's still the pain. This pain still manifests by the way we react to things, how we handle situations. I was big on rage. When
Mm.
I was married, I had a lot of rage. So um that's how I realized that inside I was a total mess.
Mm.
People look at me now and say, I can't believe you would have been like that, because I was.
Mhm.
I know who I
Wow.
was then. And there was a great work that was done within me, because I couldn't handle myself anymore. I mean, I actually snapped at some point,
Mm.
and my brain was like fried. That's when I had gone back to, Sarasota, and my brain was actually being put back together again, because
Yeah.
I couldn't even really think for myself back then.
Mm. 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 Wow. Well,
So
thank
there's a
you so
lot
much.
of there's a lot of healing, a lot of different ways of healing,
Yeah.
but the thing is that the real true healing came from within myself,
Hmm.
and through my dedication of writing and having faith to believe that God would do it,
Yeah.
even when I didn't even know how he would do it, or
Mhm.
whatever the road was. I just said yes to it and kept saying yes to it,
Mhm.
and never quit, never gave up.
Yeah. Wow. That's just, yeah, you've inspired me. Definitely, I'm not ready. I mean, when did you
Yeah.
know? When did you know, okay, I'm ready? Because there has to be a point where you say, okay, now, how many years later was it? A lot of people grieve differently. And so I mean, that's the point I want to know.
Yeah. I think you have to just search your own heart, and what you want to express, even regards to your own parents passing, and what has kind of hindered you, because it will hinder you.
Hmm.
Those things do hinder us in our creativity. They hinder us in our everyday life. It hinders us,
Yeah.
where we don't move past a certain point. And I didn't want those hindrances in my life anymore. I wanted to be free of it all.
Yeah. Yeah. I
And
hear
I can suggest to you to read my book and read the last chapter of my book, because that's the miraculous part of my parents passing. I mean, it
you.
wasn't just the fact that my mother and my father passed, it was what God had done during that time of their passing, and how he made everything work together for good, which
Mm.
I had no understanding of that when I entered their door 20 years earlier.
Wow. Wow.
It was such a transformation.
Mm, mm, mm. Wow. Well, thank you so much, Pamela, for being on the show. I appreciate it.
You're
Is there
welcome.
anything we missed today you like to say?
No, but I just encourage anyone, and no matter what you think, what may seem like a little bit in terms of writing, if you take a little bit of time each day and write, you will have a book in time.
Mm.
And it may not make a whole lot of sense in the beginning, but once you decide to do it, you'll see that it will happen, because it is something that just happens. It's not
Mm.
something that I even plan on.
Wow. Wow. Well, thank you so much, Pamela. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I look forward to seeing you soon.
Okay, I'm looking forward to talking to you again on my second book,
Yes, you have
because
to
I
come
have a
back.
part two
Yes, part
that will
two.
be coming
Definitely.
out. Yes.
Awesome. Awesome. That is good. That is
So
great. Wow.
I
Wow.
will definitely be speaking with you again.
That's a beautiful thing. Thank you so much. And I'm gonna go ahead and put the book link and also your website. So your website here, I want to show people your website, and they can go ahead and go to Pamela Benner or .com. So that's Pamela and then B as in boy, ENN as in Nancy, ER.com. We're gonna put that link in the description box so that it'll be easy for you guys to find that link and go ahead and check that book out for yourself. If you're going through something like this and you need some inspiration and you want to learn what it took for Pamela to write this down, maybe you be encouraged to write your own book as well, you need to get the book. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. Don't forget to dare to be different. Pamela, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
All right, you too. And
Okay.
you too, guys. Don't forget to what? Be good. Be very
Thank you.
good.
Bye bye.
Thank you for watching.